The Dubot Regiet is a premium gimbal for your smartphone and action cameras. When it comes to gimbals, I'm no stranger to their usage, and this is indeed my fourth gimbal, and the one I intend to take with my own tours and adventures to help me with my short film projects. Links to purchase both the gimbals are in the video description, so if you like the video and if you want to support our channel, please use our affiliate links to buy the products after watching this review. Now let's get started. Right out of the box, the gimbal really impressed me. It came with a very nice hard case with carbon fiber finish. They have included a strap and a micro USB cable to charge the gimbal as well. The fit and finish is premium and it feels very solid in the hand. I would like to mention that it also comes with one of the best written detailed manuals that I've seen. The 3350 mAh battery is replaceable and also can be charged while you're shooting. It would have been really nice if they had included an extra battery in the standard packaging as well. The company does claim that it's better than the legendary DJI Osmo, and to test that, we decided to put it against each other in a real-world test. The walking shots are identical, and honestly, I can't tell them apart. That is when we decided to step it up a notch and started running. In the running shots, you can see how close both the gimbals perform. If something, when we are turning and running at the same time, the Osmo does seem to have a little bit advantage, but both of these gimbals are doing such a great job. It's very hard to tell one from the other. The second major feature that we directly wanted to compare was the object tracking. Both the gimbals have their own iOS and Android apps, and both the apps are very feature rich and bug free. But for now, let's focus on just one thing that matters the most: object tracking. At the end of the test, we can safely say that both the gimbals performed object tracking extremely well, and the Regiet did better in tracking up and down movements, but in horizontal walking around, the Osmo and Regiet were almost tied. Osmo was better in finding back the subject once it lost the subject, but Regiet lost the subject less number of times. So again, it's very hard to compare these gimbals and find out a true winner. Overall, I never thought I would say this, but the Regiet gimbal actually did slightly better in object tracking test. If you know about gimbals, the Osmo's object tracking was already very impressive, and even a slight improvement seems to be a very big deal to me. First of all, the portrait mode. This is a must-have for those who regularly live stream on Instagram or Facebook. The Regiet can be tilted and it quickly assumes the portrait mode. Tilting further, you can get to the underslung mode, which can be very useful for low-angle follow shots. But the Regiet is expensive. At $269, it's about $60 more than the Osmo Mobile's current price. So to justify that cost, the Regiet gimbal has to offer more features than the Osmo Mobile itself. Here are some features that we found that the Regiet gimbal has, but the Osmo doesn't. The Regiet app has a panorama mode, and it's the easiest panorama shot creator that I've ever used. Putting the gimbal to panorama mode, all you have to do is hit the shutter button once, and it takes 5 different shots and stitches them together and saves in the panorama, all within seconds. Osmo doesn't have this mode in the app. Both of the gimbals have replaceable batteries, but the Regiet has a much bigger battery, and it can also charge the smartphone while you're shooting. This feature is the biggest advantage for me, as the smartphone batteries are not replaceable. If you run out of charge in the middle of your shooting, then you cannot resume shooting till you recharge your smartphone, and that's gonna take at least 30 minutes. You might lose the entire shot by then. So the Regiet gimbals, this feature is a big thing for me, and the fact that Osmo cannot charge the smartphone while it's shooting is a deal breaker. If you're worried about packaging, yes, the Regiet does come with a hard case which you can easily carry around or even wear it on your shoulder, whereas the Osmo comes with a soft case. So that's something, a very small difference, but it may be important to you. I just thought I'd mention it. Those were the 3 extra features that you get with the Regiet device, and now it's up to you to decide whether they're important to you or not. Personally, the ability to charge the gimbal while shooting and the ability to charge the smartphone while shooting are very important for me. Now, as you have seen a considerable amount of the review, I guess that you're interested in this gimbal. So let's take a look at the gimbal's construction. The top part contains the soft rubberized phone mount, and it can be tightened using the very nice knob on the back. To balance the phone, you have to turn the screw under the gimbal arm till the phone is horizontal and not falling to either left or right. And then you tighten the screw and turn it on, and it works like perfect. You don't need to calibrate or anything. This is an easy way to set up, and even the Osmo sets up in the same way. Moving down on the handle, you have 2 main buttons. First is a trackball which can be pressed to recenter the camera, and of course if you're moving it around, it can be used like the joystick on the DJI Osmo. Secondly, you have a power button. Long press the power button to turn the camera off or on. That's about 4 to 6 seconds. A 2-second press puts it to sleep mode. So if you're reviewing your footage or anything, you can put it to sleep mode and then start it back up by again another short press. If you do a very short tap, then that kind of starts your video and stops your video or takes a photo or a panoramic photo. Remember to use the video or photo capture. You have to use the Regiet app and pair it with your smartphone, which takes just a second. You have to pair it via the Bluetooth, and then your record button will work. It'll take videos and photos for you. You don't need to touch the phone after that. On the right side, you have the mode button, which is an innovative design from Regiet. It is actually a flickable switch which works 3 ways. In other gimbals that I've used, the mode button is just a single button and you cannot understand which mode you're in. This one makes it a lot easier, and beginners and even advanced shooters like myself would really enjoy it. One downside is accidentally sometimes while shooting I flicked between modes, so you have to be a little bit careful not to touch it accidentally. But let's take a look at the 3 modes. First mode is the pan follow mode. In this mode you can rotate the gimbal from left to right or right to left, and it would follow your hand movements. Vertical tilting is locked in this mode, but you can adjust horizontal and vertical tilting via the joystick or directly by hand. The DJI Osmo is always in follow mode, and you can use the direct hand adjustments to make the final setting of your gimbal in the Osmo. Second mode is the lock mode, and as the name suggests, it locks the gimbal to look at a particular direction, and even if you're moving it by hand, it doesn't change any direction. Osmo gets this mode by holding the trigger. If you press and hold the trigger, it stays in lock mode. But remember, you cannot keep it in this mode without pressing the trigger, so you cannot do this remotely. Your hand has to be on the device to trigger lock mode on Osmo. Also in lock mode, you can use the joystick to move around the gimbal, but your hand movements will no longer be followed by the gimbal. Third mode is the free flow mode. Follow both horizontal and vertical movements. This mode is not there in the DJI Osmo. It can be useful for taking some very complex shots where you may need the camera to look up and down at the same time need to follow. The final button is the small trigger switch on the right side, and this is a multifunctional button. This can toggle between front and back camera. This can also adjust digital zoom on your smartphone, and it can also act as a scroll button while you're in the menu. Remember, for the final 2 things to work, you need to be using the original Regiet app. Now we're going to show you quickly the Regiet app, and we're also going to do a comparison with the DJI Osmo mobile app. So on the top left we have the gallery. This is going to show us all the footage that we have shot so far in the day, which is going to be these follow shots. This looks like the panoramic mode to me. Then below that you have the photograph mode. This you can take some photos on this, and then you have the video mode below that, which is the usual mode for most of the gimbals are used for video, so that's a nice touch. It has to be there. This is the self timer, and you have some other timer modes, and finally a slow motion mode. These are all built into the app. Your phone may also have it, so you may use it from there. These are all the modes on the left side. On the left bottom corner you have the camera flip option, which is always there, and now you can see my camera which is shooting this. That's the Lumix over there. So easy to flip the cameras. The icons are nice and big, easy to use. We've already seen how good the tracking feature is, and to track any subject, all you have to do is you have to press here, and then you have to select an area, and then it's gonna track that area. Now this is extension where you can see the app version and you can update the app, and this I believe is the gimbal settings. Now we're not connected to the device, so to connect the device you all have to do is just tap in to the left Bluetooth icon. This is a little hard to find if you're a new user, but as you can see, you can just touch it, it connected within a second. So very nice quick connection. Now we can just go in here and we can see all the modes. It's a very detailed app. You can increase and decrease the speed. This all works pretty nicely. Now let's move it to 100 and let's move it back, and now we can see it's in the fastest mode, right? It's actually the same speed. So in my calculation the speed thing is still not fixed in the app, and probably it's a new gimbal that'll come up later. You can gyro calibrate, which is the calibration option for your gimbal. If it goes wrong you can set it right. If you want to invert your joystick, that's your option there. Not much else is there. So this is all the gimbal detail calibration settings. And moving back on the app, we have something like YouTube and custom. This is live streaming options built into the app, which is very nice, and it's gonna be good for all those social media celebrities who have a big YouTube channel or want to go live on Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that. This has all that option. Video modes, we have all the video modes. We're currently shooting in 1080, but we can move all the way up to 4K. That depends on which phone you're using it on, but you can also select that pretty easily. So we'll select 1080p or whatever, and we'll move back from video resolution. We'll move to the next button, which is okay, we have already shown this is a video resolution. Now you can put this entire app into manual mode, and once you put into manual mode you can select ISO, shutter speed, ISO, shutter speed, and even white balance. Now if you know what you're doing, this can be very useful for recording photos or even videos. You can use your own ISO settings and shutter speeds. Usually if you're shooting in 30 fps, then shutter speed should be double of that, which is 60. Now this I've already shown you. The final button is the grid. If you want any adjustments to assist your framing and all that, it's there. You have cross grid, you have the 9 into cross. I personally prefer this one. It's the 2/3, 1/3, 2/3 composition system, so I'll keep that on. Now in the final thing, I'll take a look. That's real-time filter. That's only there for 1080 30 fps video, which means you can actually use video filters while you're going live, which is something new. I haven't seen it in the DJI app. This is new. And that's it. That's the app. I believe the tracking really impressed me on this app. Everything seems to be working fine. If I have to go nitpick about something, I think they still have to work on this gimbal speed thing. It is definitely there, but I think with an app update it will actually start going into the gimbal. Right now it's not affecting the gimbal speed. That's gonna move in. Anyways, this joystick is kind of you can easily control your speed by, this is a trackball joystick, so you can do that if you want. Control the speed by manual adjustments. You can slow or fast pan it, but it would nice to have that option in the app itself. Reviewing anything honestly, you have to talk a bit about the disadvantage, and if you're considering this gimbal, just go through them. These are small things, but I wish to let you know before you make your purchase. First of all, the gimbal claims to work with GoPro and smartphone, but for GoPro you have to buy an adapter separately. These are about $10. I wish that it was included in the standard package. The battery takes about 4 hours to charge, but once it's full you can expect really long battery life and several days of shooting without a recharge. The grip is short and also not too thick compared to the DJI Osmo that is very easy to grip. And I really like the rubberized finish on the Ridgid gimbal. I just wish that the handle was a little bit thicker so that I could grip it more easily. Fit and finish wise, the Osmo still feels a little bit better in hand, but I do have to mention that the phone balancing screw on the Osmo seems to get jammed at times, and I've read online that this is not with my unit, it happens with a lot of other people, whereas the Ridgid doesn't have any such design flaws and issues. The tripod mount is to the side and not to the bottom. I'm not a fan of that, as having the tripod mount at the bottom easily lets me extend the grip, attaching it to the monopod, and it also lets me shoot better panoramic time lapses and all that, which this gimbal does support via the app. It is very difficult to shoot a panoramic time lapse with the gimbal attached to the side, so I wish they had put the tripod mount on the bottom. However, I would like to mention that the Osmo doesn't have any tripod mount, and you have to buy their specific extra attachment, which is also very expensive, to get this gimbal to again support a tripod. So after some extensive testing, it's finally time for the verdict. The Dubot Ridgid is aimed at the professional shot filmmaker, YouTuber, vlogger, and hardcore enthusiast. There are cheaper gimbals out there for your smartphone, but if you want the best one with arguably the most advanced tracking feature, along with a big replaceable battery and ability to charge your smartphone while shooting, then this is indeed the gimbal that you are looking for. And if you're willing to pay the extra price for it, I'm sure that this gimbal will not let you down and will help you boost your productivity and shoot with long hours and freely. Thanks for watching. If you really like this video, please hit a like button and share it with your friends. Maybe if you're a new viewer, please subscribe to my channel. We are a really small channel and we would love to have your support to grow into a really big one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you very soon. This is Rahul. Goodbye.